The Galactic Council chamber floated high above a blue-white planet, a symbol of unity for thousands of alien species. Every world had a voice here except one. Earth sat in the center ring, silent, surrounded by sneering faces. The air shimmered with holographic light. Alien diplomats hissed, whispered, and laughed in their native tongues. The screens around the chamber displayed a spinning globe of Earth, glowing faintly. Above it, bright red letters blinked. Unfit for council status. Ambassador Elias Grant stood alone. He was the only human in the room. His uniform was plain, his expression calm. Around him, alien delegates insulted and mocked, calling humans primitive, emotional, and barely evolved. Their laughter echoed through the hall like claws on metal. "Your planet burns its own air," one alien said. "You fight among yourselves like children. How can such a race call itself civilized?" Another delegate, a tall creature with silver scales, leaned forward. "Perhaps the humans should return to the mud they came from." The crowd laughed again. Cameras floated above, recording everything. Billions across the galaxy were watching. To them it was entertainment, but Elias did not respond. He stood perfectly still, hands clasped behind his back. His silence was not weakness. It was memory. When the council's leader, a creature of light and shifting colors, banged its staff, the room grew quiet. "Human representative," it said coldly. "Earth's request for permanent membership is denied. Return to your world. Improve yourselves if you can." Elias finally spoke. His voice was calm, even soft, but it carried through the entire hall. "We came in peace. We offered cooperation. You offered laughter. That is fine." He paused, looking around slowly at every face, every smirk, every glimmer of arrogance. "Humans remember, and we forget nothing." Then he turned and walked away. For a few seconds there was silence. Then the hall burst into laughter again. The aliens mocked his words. "Remember? What can they do? They are children playing with fire." Outside the chamber, Elias stepped onto his transport ship. As the doors closed behind him, his face changed. The calm mask dropped. His eyes turned cold and focused. He activated a secure channel to Earth. "Council meeting complete," he said quietly. "They've shown their true colors." A woman's voice answered from the other end, a deep, steady tone. "Understood, Ambassador. Proceed with Phase 1. "Confirmed," Elias said. "Project Nemesis is now authorized." The transmission ended. The ship vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind the glowing council station. On Earth, far below the stars, the Pacific Ocean stirred. Deep beneath its waves, a vast structure hummed to life, an underground base carved into the ocean floor. Engineers and officers rushed through metal corridors as alarms flashed red. In the command room stood Admiral Serena Holt, a woman with silver hair and eyes sharp as glass. Before her, a massive holographic map of the galaxy flickered. Around Earth, red dots blinked. Enemy borders, surveillance satellites, hostile trade routes. "They mock us on every channel," a young officer said. "Even neutral planets are joining the laughter." "Let them laugh," Serena replied. "The loudest laugh usually belongs to those who fear the silence." She raised her hand and the room fell quiet. "We have waited long enough. The Council believes Earth is weak. They think silence means fear. They have no idea what it really means." The holographic map shifted, zooming into black sectors of space, uncharted zones labeled restricted. Inside them, dozens of massive structures glowed faintly, human-built, hidden for decades. Each structure bore the same insignia, a silver eagle gripping a star. "Project Nemesis," Serena said softly. "Our shield. Our hammer. Our silence." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, alien news networks broadcasted the council meeting like a comedy show. Talk hosts replayed the moment Elias walked out, mocking his calm tone, repeating his words for laughs. On one station, a reptilian commentator joked, "Humans forget nothing? Maybe they should start by remembering how to fly without crashing." The audience roared. On another, a group of alien analysts predicted Earth's downfall. "They won't survive the next trade cycle," one said. "They'll beg for our scraps soon enough." They didn't know that, far from begging, Earth was building. Factories across Mars glowed with secret production. Shipyards hidden near Neptune were constructing silent warships, coated in light-absorbing metal. Artificial intelligence systems analyzed alien communications, learning every language, every weakness. Earth was quiet because it was listening. Back in the council, a few alien diplomats started to worry. The human ambassador's last words echoed in their minds. We forget nothing. One of them, a gray-skinned scientist, looked through the archives. Strange, he whispered to himself. They've been silent for decades. But their technology growth, it doesn't match their trade logs, meaning, asked another. Meaning, he said slowly, they're hiding something. But it was already too late. The galaxy had laughed too long. The silence had stretched too far. On the far edge of the solar system, something stirred in the dark. A fleet of black ships, cold and silent, drifted among the stars. Their engines made no sound. Their hulls absorbed all light. At their center, a single ship larger than any alien battleship floated in the void. Its name glowed faintly on the side, TDS Vengeance. Inside, Elias Grant stood on the command bridge. He gazed at the holographic image of the Galactic Council's world. The same world where they had laughed at him, he whispered quietly. You wanted silence. Let's see how loud it can get. Outside the window, the first engines ignited. No sound, no flash, just a ripple of light disappearing into darkness. The storm had not yet begun, but the silence had ended. Weeks passed since Ambassador Elias Grant's silent walk from the council chamber, but the galaxy's laughter had not faded. If anything, it grew louder. Alien news anchors replayed the scene again and again, twisting his calm words into jokes. Across hundreds of worlds, children mimicked humans as weak and clumsy creatures. Even the smallest colonies joined the ridicule. On Earth, the broadcasts played too. People watched in silence. No protests, no shouting, no anger, just quiet, steady eyes on glowing screens. The laughter of the galaxy had become background noise. But beneath that quiet surface, a pulse had begun to rise. In the command center under the Pacific, Admiral Serena Holt stood before a giant display showing the Council's news feeds. They still believe we're broken, she said softly. Good, let them. Her officers exchanged glances. One of them, a young technician named Rowan, frowned. Ma'am, how long can we let this go on? The colonies are getting restless. Until we're ready, she said. Until the silence hurts them more than their words hurt us. Behind her, on the main wall, a timer counted down. Project Nemesis, Phase 2. Initiation, 72 hours. Serena turned to face the rows of officers. Start linking every Nemesis station to Central Command. I want complete neural synchronization across all units. The room lit up with activity. Dozens of officers began tapping at glowing panels, connecting deep space networks hidden in asteroid belts and on moons far beyond alien sensors. One by one, green lights blinked to life. Thousands of light years away, the Galactic Council gathered once more. The hall was bright and full of sound. The alien delegates were louder now, arrogant with victory. They believed they had humiliated Earth completely. The humans have not replied, one delegate said proudly. They have no allies, no influence, and no power. Their silence confirms it. The council leader, a tall, luminous being, nodded. Then let us move forward. We will reduce their trade rights and mining permissions. Let Earth's arrogance starve itself. A ripple of laughter filled the chamber, but a few sitting in the shadows did not laugh. A reptilian ambassador named Vurak whispered to his neighbor. It's strange. Human trade numbers are falling, but their energy output is rising. How can that be? Perhaps they build toys to make themselves feel important, the other hissed. Vurak frowned, uneasy. Or weapons. Back on Earth, night had fallen over the ocean base. The waves above were calm, but inside, tension grew. Admiral Holt entered the restricted lab, where engineers worked around a colossal machine, an AI core glowing with soft blue light. A scientist approached her. Ma'am, the system is online. The neural link between our fleets is complete. We can now command all Nemesis units simultaneously. Serena nodded. Has Elias approved deployment? Not yet, the scientist said. But he's due to arrive within the hour. As if on cue, the door hissed open. Elias Grant stepped in, his face half lit by the soft glow. The same calm expression, the same quiet fire behind his eyes. Admiral, he said, is the fleet ready? Every ship, every drone, every satellite, she answered. They think our silence means weakness. Elias smiled faintly. Then let's show them what patience can build. He approached the AI core, pressing his hand against the transparent surface. The machine pulsed in response, recognizing him. You've waited long enough, he whispered. Let's begin. 3 days later, across the galaxy, strange reports began to surface. A merchant convoy near the Betra sector vanished without a trace. Their last message: unidentified shadows approaching. No readings detected. On another world, an orbital satellite stopped transmitting after showing a dark shape crossing in front of the sun, something massive and completely silent. The Galactic Defense Council dismissed the reports as malfunctions. Humans cannot operate in deep space, they said. Their technology is too primitive. But the disappearances continued. One by one, outposts along the human border went dark. Within weeks, hundreds of alien ships had vanished. No explosions, no debris, no distress calls, just silence. And every time an investigation began, the result was the same: static, interference, data loss. It was as if the void itself had swallowed them. In the council chamber, panic began to whisper behind closed doors. Vurak slammed his clawed hand on the table. "You fools! These are not accidents. This is retribution." The leader glared at him. "Retribution from whom? The humans? They lack even interstellar warp capacity." Vurak pointed at the data screens. "Then explain this." The lights dimmed as he played a recording, a grainy feed from a destroyed probe. The image showed a black silhouette, enormous, gliding through the void. No visible engines, no lights, just darkness shaped like a warship. The room fell silent. One alien whispered, "What is that?" Vurak turned toward the council's leader. "That," he said slowly, "is silence given form." Meanwhile, on Earth, Project Nemesis was fully active. Inside the main control room, the holographic galaxy map glowed red with expanding waves, hidden fleets repositioning in deep space. Elias stood at the center, watching every movement. He wasn't smiling, but there was satisfaction in his calm. "Do not fire," he said. "Not yet. Fear spreads faster than missiles." Admiral Holt nodded. "We're moving as planned. Within a month, they'll realize how little they understand us." Elias clasped his hands behind his back. "Let the galaxy mock us one last time. Then let them wonder why the stars have gone dark." Days later, alien citizens across dozens of planets noticed something unusual. When they looked up at the night sky, 1 or 2 stars seemed to have vanished. Astronomers claimed it was dust, interference, or cosmic drift. But deep in the void, those stars hadn't disappeared. They were hidden behind black ships, each bearing the emblem of the Terran Dominion. The Galactic Council called for an emergency meeting. "We are losing border sectors," shouted one delegate. "Entire fleets are gone." The council leader struggled to remain calm. "We will send a peace request to Earth. They must respond." But Earth did not answer. Their silence had become the loudest sound in the galaxy. And somewhere in the darkness, a quiet voice spoke aboard the flagship TDS Vengeance. "They wanted to test our patience. Now they'll learn what silence truly means." The echo carried across the stars. Unheard, unseen, unstoppable. The storm was coming. The galaxy had not known true fear for centuries. There had been wars, rebellions, border disputes, but never something like this. Never something silent, invisible, and deliberate. Entire sectors went dark without warning. Communication networks that had linked worlds for centuries now blinked with error signals. Patrol fleets vanished into the void as if swallowed by shadows. The council had no answers. And still, Earth said nothing. On the surface of Earth, the cities looked calm. Children went to school. Factories operated as usual. But deep beneath the calm, an invisible heartbeat pulsed. Across the oceans, underground facilities thrummed with energy. In the Pacific base, Admiral Serena Holt watched a wall of holographic screens, each filled with alien news. "They're panicking," said her second-in-command, Commander Rowan. "Every broadcast blames someone new. Pirates, AI revolts, black holes." Serena crossed her arms. "Good. Let them chase ghosts." A technician turned from her console. "Ma'am, all Nemesis fleets are now in position." "Awaiting command authorization." Serena's eyes hardened. "No attacks yet. We stay quiet until the signal." Thousands of kilometers away, in orbit above the moon, Ambassador Elias Grant stood before a massive viewing window aboard the flagship TDS Vengeance. Beyond the glass stretched the black sea of space, vast, endless, and silent. He placed a small metal device on the console before him. A silver coin engraved with Earth's emblem. "Do you know what this coin represents?" he asked the officer beside him. The officer shook his head. Balance, Elias said softly. On one side, peace. On the other, pride. The council tipped it too far. Now it's time to let it fall. He picked up the coin and flipped it into the air. It spun, catching the starlight, and landed in his palm. Contact Admiral Holt, he ordered. Tell her the council just approved a new broadcast. They're calling humanity a galactic disease. That's their final mistake. The next day, the Galactic Council prepared another live transmission. Delegates filled the great chamber, cameras glowing above their heads. Billions watched across the galaxy. A tall, feathered alien stepped forward. Let it be known, he declared, that Earth's silence proves its inferiority. Let it be known that humanity is unworthy of the stars. The crowd erupted in laughter and applause. The broadcast spread instantly, waves of mockery filling every screen from one spiral arm to another. But halfway through the speech, the lights flickered, the hologram stuttered a deep, low sound, a tone that vibrated through the chamber. Every camera feed froze. Then across the galaxy all screens turned black. Static filled the void, and then a single symbol appeared. A silver eagle holding a star. Beneath it, glowing text. Transmission from the Terran Dominion. Gasps spread through the hall. Delegates turned to one another, confused and frightened. A voice spoke, calm, deep and unmistakably human. You wanted silence. You mocked our peace. You called us weak. Now you will listen. The screen shifted. A figure appeared. Elias Grant standing aboard the Vengeance, eyes cold as steel. For years, humanity sought friendship. We extended hands. You spat on them. You called us savages. You laughed when we stayed silent. But silence was never surrender. It was study, observation, preparation. He paused. Behind him, the faint shape of enormous warships loomed in the darkness, their outlines flickering like shadows over stars. From this moment, the Terran Dominion acknowledges no council authority. Your fleets in human sectors will withdraw immediately. Your propaganda networks will cease your broadcasts. You will remember this day, the day Earth decided to speak. The transmission ended. Panic exploded across the galaxy. Every major world activated its defense networks. Fleets scrambled into formation. Messages flooded between planets. Is it true? Are they attacking? Where are their ships? But there were no attacks. No visible fleets. Only shadows. In orbit around the Council's homeworld, something stirred. A faint shimmer appeared near the planet's moon, as if light itself had bent. Slowly, a dark triangle materialized from the void. A ship, vast and silent, gliding forward with impossible grace. The alien radar stations went wild. Unidentified object approaching. Can't lock on. It's phasing through scans. The Council's defense fleet rushed to intercept. Dozens of cruisers fired energy beams. Every shot passed harmlessly through the air, as if the human ship wasn't really there. Then, without firing a single weapon, the Vengeance activated its counterwave field. Every alien ship froze. Engines died. Weapons failed. Communications went black. Within seconds, the entire defense fleet hung motionless in space, powerless. Inside the council chamber, alarms blared. What is happening? Shouted the leader. Who is attacking us? Unknown technology, sir. It's human. Meanwhile, aboard the Vengeance, Elias Grant stood still, watching the chaos unfold on his screen. Power them down, he ordered. No damage. Just darkness. His officers obeyed. The massive human ship hovered in silence, dominating the sky. Elias turned to his aide. Send a message to Admiral Holt. The spark has been lit. Phase 3 begins now. On Earth, Admiral Holt received the signal. Her command deck glowed red as alerts filled the air. Begin transmission across all sectors, she ordered. Message code 01 Humanity has spoken. Within seconds, satellites across every human colony repeated the same signal, sending it through wormhole channels and deep space relays. Every alien ship near human territory heard the same voice. You called us weak. You mocked our silence. You forgot who we are. We are the species that turned extinction into survival. We are the noise you tried to bury, and now the silence ends. In the council chamber, the delegates stared at the frozen feed of their powerless fleet. The leader trembled. They didn't destroy our ships, why? Furak, the reptilian ambassador, spoke quietly. Because they want us to understand. This isn't revenge. It's a lesson. Hours later, The Vengeance vanished from orbit, leaving behind no wreckage, no signal, only the image of its shadow burned into the Council's memory. On the edge of known space, as the Black Fleet regrouped, Elias stood on the command deck, staring into the stars. Commander Rowan asked softly, "What now, sir?" Elias replied, "Now we wait. Fear spreads faster than war. Let them think. Let them dream of what we could do next." He turned away from the window. They wanted to see what silence can build. Soon they'll learn what patience can destroy. The stars outside shimmered faintly, reflecting the light of hundreds of human ships rising from the dark. The spark had become a flame, and the galaxy would soon feel its heat. The Galactic Council's capital had not known darkness for centuries. Its 3 suns kept the world bathed in endless golden light, its towers gleaming white against the sky. But that morning, for the first time in living memory, the suns dimmed. No eclipse, no storm, just darkness. The council members rushed into the grand hall as emergency lights flickered. Communication lines failed one by one. Across the skyline, alien citizens stared upward, pointing at the heavens where massive black shapes floated in silence. No engines, no visible thrusters, just shadows that swallowed light. "Emergency protocols," the leader shouted, his body glowing erratically as he fought to stay calm. "Identify those ships." "Scanners cannot read them," an officer replied, panic in his voice. "They're not emitting any known signal." The hall filled with terrified whispers. Then a new sound replaced them all, a deep, low hum that vibrated through the air, through metal, through bone. It was not an attack. It was a warning, thousands of light years away. On the flagship TDS Vengeance, Elias Grant stood at the center of the bridge, his hands clasped behind his back. "Visual feed," he said quietly. Before him, the holographic display showed the Council world trembling under the shadow of the human fleet. The ships hung like silent monuments in orbit, black triangles against gold skies, their presence alone enough to bring the galaxy to its knees. Admiral Serena Holt appeared on the screen. "The Council's communications are collapsing. They've sealed themselves inside their chambers. What are your orders?" Elias's eyes narrowed. "We don't destroy. We remind." He leaned closer to the display. "Broadcast to every system. Begin transmission code Echo 1. Across thousands of worlds, screens turned black. Every news broadcast, every entertainment channel, every commercial feed was replaced by a single image, a starfield and a human voice. For generations you mocked Earth's silence. You called it weakness. You called us primitive. Today the galaxy will understand the truth." The starfield faded, revealing footage of alien fleets drifting powerless, weapons disabled, engines cold. "We watched. We learned. We built. While you laughed, we prepared. While you boasted of peace, we studied your wars. While you shouted, we listened." Then the voice paused, calm and steady. "Now you will listen." The broadcast ended, but the silence it left behind screamed louder than any weapon. Inside the council chamber, chaos erupted. "They've taken over our entire communication network," shouted one delegate. "This is an act of war," cried another. Vorak, the reptilian ambassador, slammed his claws on the table. "No, this is a show of power. If they wanted war, this planet would already be dust." The leader turned to him, trembling. "What do you propose, Vorak?" "Surrender? To a race that we mocked," Vorak interrupted. "That we underestimated. They are not like us. They do not bluff. They do not warn twice." Meanwhile, in the council city below, fear had turned to panic, the streets filled with crowds staring at the sky. The human ships moved slowly, silently, casting immense shadows over crystal towers. One descended low enough that the wind from its gravity field shook the ground. Children cried. Soldiers froze, unsure whether to fire or flee. Then suddenly a beam of white light shot from the underside of one ship, but not a weapon. It painted across the sky, forming glowing words visible to all. "Respect is earned." The words hung there for 10 long seconds, then vanished. Back on the Vengeance, Admiral Holt exhaled slowly. "They're terrified," she said. Elias watched the fading holographic image. "Good, but terror is only the beginning." He turned to his officers. "Send aid signals to the outer colonies, medical, food, and tech shipments. I want the galaxy to see both sides of us, the hand that can crush and the hand that can heal." One officer looked confused. Sir, won't that soften our message? Elias shook his head. It will make it sharper. They must see we choose restraint. That's what separates us from them. Hours later, the council requested a transmission. The request came encoded, desperate. Elias accepted. The hologram of the council leader flickered to life before him, its usual radiant form now dim and trembling. Ambassador Grant, the alien began cautiously. These displays are unnecessary. If your people wish to negotiate, Elias raised a hand. This is not negotiation. This is recognition, the leader blinked. Recognition? Yes, Elias said quietly. You will recognize that humanity has a place among you, not because you allow it, but because we've earned it. The leader's glow pulsed nervously. If you continue these actions, the council will have no choice but to... Elias leaned forward. To what, attack? You've already tried. Your fleets are floating statues now. Do not mistake our silence for weakness again. The leader's mouth opened, but no words came. The transmission ended abruptly. Back on the council planet, the delegates argued deep into the night. Some demanded retaliation. Others begged for peace. But the truth was clear. None of their ships, their weapons, or their systems worked as they once did. Every attempt to fight back ended with systems shutting down mysteriously. By dawn, they had no choice. They sent a final message to Earth. We acknowledge your sovereignty and request diplomatic contact. At sunrise over the Pacific, Admiral Holt read the message aloud. Around her, the control room was silent. They finally understand, she said. Elias's hologram flickered into view. Understanding is good, he said softly, but respect lasts longer. He looked out the viewport behind him, watching the stars brighten as Earth rotated beneath. Prepare the delegation, he ordered. It's time the galaxy met the real humanity, calm, patient, and unafraid. Later, aboard a shuttle descending to the council world, Elias stood by the window, watching the alien planet grow larger. The once bright capital was now shrouded in the shadow of human ships. The silence below was total. Commander Rowan stood beside him. They'll never mock us again, he said. Elias nodded slowly. That's not the goal. The goal is that they remember. He looked down at the world where billions waited in silence, because fear fades. But memory endures. The shuttle entered the atmosphere, leaving behind a trail of gold and fire. The council trembled. And for the first time in galactic history, they listened. The Galactic Council chamber had never been this quiet. Once a place of roaring voices and arrogance, it now felt like a tomb. The laughter that used to echo off the crystal walls had died weeks ago. The delegates sat stiffly in their seats, their shimmering robes dull under the pale emergency lights. Every eye turned toward the entrance as the great doors opened with a low hiss. From the shadowed hallway, a small group walked in, 5 humans dressed in dark diplomatic uniforms. In their lead was Elias Grant. He didn't wear medals or armor, just a simple black coat with Earth's emblem, a silver star clasped in an eagle's wings. The sound of his footsteps alone filled the chamber. No guards stopped him. No one dared. When he reached the center of the room, he looked up at the council's high seats. For years, that view had been his humiliation. Now it was different. Representative Grant of Earth, the council leader said shakily, his luminous body flickering with nervous light. You have our attention, Elias nodded. At last, he said softly. The chamber lights dimmed and Elias placed a small device on the center table. It projected images into the air, footage of the council's past broadcasts mocking Earth. Every insult, every joke, every arrogant speech replayed in silence. The faces of those who laughed appeared one by one. When the final clip ended, Elias turned to them. These moments, he said, were not forgotten. We recorded every word, every sneer, every broadcast you made mocking humanity. He walked slowly around the table, his calm voice echoing. You called us primitive. You said our wars were barbaric, our emotions uncontrolled, our civilization a mistake. Yet it was you who declared peace and still built fleets. You who preached unity and still enslaved weaker worlds. We watched. We learned. And we waited. Vurak, the reptilian ambassador, lowered his eyes. Then what do you seek now, human? Revenge? Elias stopped walking. No, he said. We seek memory. He pressed another command, and the hologram shifted, showing human ships restoring power grids on damaged alien colonies, delivering food to starving populations, repairing communication networks. These worlds mocked us, yet we helped them first, he said. While your fleets were paralyzed, we rebuilt what you couldn't. That is the difference between silence and submission. The council leader leaned forward. And yet you threaten us with your machines. Elias met his gaze. We threatened no one. We revealed the truth, that humanity is not weak and peace is not the same as fear. You forced us to prove it. For a moment, silence returned. Then another alien with glass-like skin spoke up. You have crippled our systems. Our ships are blind. How? Elias smiled faintly. We didn't attack your ships. We simply rewrote the code that you stole from us years ago. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Decades ago, he continued, you took human designs and sold them as your own. You didn't know that they contained a seed, our key. When the time came, it bloomed. Now you understand what silence was hiding. The council fell silent. No one spoke. Then Elias gestured to his team. Bring it in. A floating platform entered the hall carrying a crystalline sphere. Inside it shimmered a miniature holographic galaxy, tiny points of light moving within. This, Elias said, is the human archive. It holds every insult, every betrayal, every treaty broken against our species. We could expose it to the public and tear the council apart. The delegates shifted nervously. But, he continued, we won't. Surprise rippled across their faces. Elias looked around the hall. We don't seek your destruction. We seek something greater, accountability. You will rebuild what you've broken. You will restore the balance you mocked. You will learn what respect means. The council leader's glow flickered uncertainly. And if we refuse? Elias stepped closer, his voice still calm, still quiet, but carrying the weight of entire worlds. Then we will leave you in your silence, and you will learn how cold it truly is. Outside, through the chamber's high windows, the council members could see the black fleet hovering above their world like silent sentinels. Not firing, not attacking, just watching. Barak rose slowly. I vote in favor, he said. The humans have earned their seat. They have earned far more than that. One by one, other voices joined him, some out of respect, most out of fear. But the result was the same. The council leader raised his trembling hand. By majority rule, he declared, the planet Earth is hereby recognized as a founding member of the Galactic Council.
Humanity shall hold
the central chair. The chamber erupted, not in applause but in stunned silence. Later, as the delegates left, Elias remained standing alone beneath the high ceiling. Admiral Serena Holt appeared as a hologram beside him. It's done, she said quietly. You've just rewritten galactic history without firing a shot. Elias exhaled slowly. No, humanity did. We just reminded them who we are. He looked up at the glowing map of the stars above the chamber. The council will rebuild. But now every time they speak our name, they'll remember this day. Serena smiled faintly. What next? Elias turned to her. Now we make peace real. We teach them what strength looks like when it chooses not to kill. Outside, the human ships began to drift away, their hulls fading into the blackness of space. Citizens across alien worlds watched as the shadows disappeared, leaving only the faint reflection of Earth's blue star among the constellations. Across the galaxy, the phrase spread through whispers and networks alike. Respect is earned. In distant schools, alien children began studying human history. In their markets, they traded human art and technology. And on their news channels, the same anchors who once mocked humanity now spoke of their wisdom. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy had stopped laughing at Earth and started listening. Back on the Vengeance, Elias stood alone in his quarters, looking out at the stars. On the table lay the same silver coin he had flipped before the first strike. He picked it up and whispered, "Peace this time on our terms." He flipped the coin again. It landed silently on his palm. This time he didn't check which side faced up. He didn't need to. The galaxy had already chosen. The stars had never looked the same since that day. For centuries, the Galactic Council's emblem had shimmered across the skies of 1,000 worlds, a symbol of unity, pride, and order. Now beside it floated a new symbol, a silver eagle holding a shining star, the emblem of Earth. The Council's capital was rebuilt, but not by alien hands alone. Human architects and engineers worked alongside alien laborers. Where arrogance once stood, cooperation began to grow. Towers of glass and metal rose higher than before, reflecting both the golden suns and the blue glow of Earth's crest. In the heart of it all, the central hall, once the symbol of humiliation for mankind, had been redesigned. The circular table was replaced with one made of obsidian and light steel, carved equally for every species. And in the center, raised slightly higher, stood a single empty chair. It waited for him. The sound of approaching engines filled the atmosphere as a silver shuttle descended through the glowing clouds. It touched down softly at the edge of the plaza. The moment the doors opened, every camera in the galaxy focused on one man. Ambassador Elias Grant stepped out. He walked across the marble causeway, surrounded by both human and alien soldiers, all wearing the same emblem, no longer separate, no longer unequal. Billions watched as he entered the hall. The crowd inside rose to their feet, the quiet thunder of respect echoing across the chamber. The council leader, now older, dimmer and wiser, bowed slightly. "Representative Grant," he said with a flicker of light, "the council awaits your guidance." Elias nodded once. "Then let us begin." He took his place in the center chair, the first human ever to do so. For a moment he said nothing. The silence that had once mocked Earth now belonged entirely to him. When he finally spoke, his words carried to every corner of the galaxy. "For years," he began, "we were told to be quiet. We were told to know our place. We were told that our chaos, our passion, our emotions made us unworthy of the stars. But those same emotions built us. They made us curious, fearless, unstoppable. Our silence was not surrender. It was patience." The chamber listened, still and breathless. Elias continued. "Humanity never wanted conquest. We wanted recognition. We wanted peace. But peace cannot exist when one side laughs while the other bleeds. So we changed the game. We didn't destroy the council. We restored it." He paused, letting the weight of his words hang in the air. "Today begins a new order. Not an empire. Not domination. But balance. The Terran Dominion will protect, not rule. We will build, not break. And we will remember." From orbit, human and alien ships flew side by side in formation, an image broadcast to every colony and world. For the first time in living memory, the galaxy looked united. But peace, as always, had its doubters. In a shadowed corner of the council, an insectoid delegate whispered to his advisor, "They are dangerous. Too strong. Too clever. What if they decide to rule it all?" The advisor replied, "Then we pray they never lose their patience again." Back on Earth, the world had changed too. No longer a forgotten blue dot at the edge of known space, it was now the heart of galactic diplomacy. Human cities expanded beyond the atmosphere, floating stations, orbital gardens, colonies on Mars glowing like jewels in the night. Children studied alien languages in schools. Alien visitors walked freely through Earth's cities, marveling at the blend of human art and technology. Atop the Pacific base, Admiral Serena Holt stood watching the horizon. The ocean was calm again, reflecting the stars above. She tapped her earpiece. "Vengeance Fleet reports full recall. Every ship has returned home." Elias's voice answered through the calm. "Good, let them rest. Even storms need calm seas to remember what peace feels like." She smiled faintly. "You really think peace will last?" There was a pause. Then Elias's quiet voice replied, "If it doesn't, they'll remember how silence sounds." Months passed. Slowly, the galaxy began to heal. Trade resumed. Worlds that once laughed at humanity now sought their alliance. Human engineers shared energy technology that reduced planetary waste to zero. Human scientists cured diseases that had plagued entire species for generations. But humanity did not boast. They did not demand tribute. They simply worked, quietly, efficiently. Across the stars, a new phrase began to spread. The humans fix what others break. The once feared Black Fleet now patrolled the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Every world they passed through felt safer, not weaker. The silence that once terrified the galaxy had become its shield. One evening, as the twin moons rose above the council capital, Elias Grant stood alone on a balcony overlooking the city. The skyline shimmered with both alien and human lights, 1,000 colors blending into one. Vurak, the old reptilian ambassador, approached beside him. "You've changed everything," he said. Elias smiled faintly. "No. Humanity just reminded them of what they forgot, the power of restraint." Vurak tilted his head. "And what comes next?" Elias looked toward the stars. "We teach them to listen before they speak, to think before they laugh, to build before they destroy. The silence will remain, but now it will mean peace." Far above, the TDS Vengeance drifted quietly in orbit, its black hull reflecting the silver of the suns. Once feared as a weapon, it was now a monument, a reminder that even the quietest world could roar when pushed too far. Inside the ship, a single plaque was mounted on the bridge. It read, "They mistook our silence for weakness. They'll never make that mistake again." As the suns rose the next morning, the galaxy witnessed something unseen before, an entire system sending out the same unified signal. Every world, every species, every voice, human or alien, broadcasted one phrase into the void. Respect is earned, and somewhere, light years away, the ancient echoes of laughter that once mocked Earth finally faded into nothing. In their place, a new sound was born, soft, steady, and eternal. The hum of peace. Elias watched the sunrise through the Council's great glass dome, his reflection merging with the stars. He whispered the same words he had spoken years ago in humiliation, now transformed into triumph. "We remember everything, and we forget nothing." Then he closed his eyes. The age of silence was over. The age of humanity had begun.